With Dying Light 2 possibly, hopefully, coming out soon, it's no better time than to go back and remember just how creepy the original Dying Light could be. For a game where you could dropkick zombies, they still managed to pack in a lot of scares. So today we're going to talk about 7 freaky locations in the original Dying Light. Now, starting off with number 7, let's talk Public Faces, aka the apartment building with the zombie children. This is one of the most infamous missions in the game, and for good reason. Dying Light can be a pretty creepy game in general, but anytime they force you to go inside is usually when things get way more unpleasant. You can't just parkour away from zombies anymore. You've got to face them head on now, and you've got to do it in cramped, congested, and often disorienting environments. It can get really rough is what we're saying. And one of the all-time creepiest is this apartment building you go to in the mission Public Faces. As usual with this game, the goal here is pretty straightforward, but actually pulling it off is anything but. Basically, in the story, you find out that the government has given up on Haran, the city this game takes place in, and is telling the world that there aren't any survivors left as an excuse to just carpet bomb the whole place off the map, Raccoon City style. So your dude and the remaining survivors came up with a plan to signal the outside world by setting off explosives in this apartment building, blowing a giant symbol into the side of it. The problem is, no surprise here, that the place is swarming with zombies, of course. If all that isn't bad enough, what makes this mission really stand out in the players' minds are these creepy as hell zombie variants. They're screamers. They're literally zombie children, which is about as messed up as it gets. To make matters worse, these things don't even try to fight you. Instead, they just scream when they detect you, which blurs your vision, does continuous damage to you, and draws the attention of any other zombie within earshot. If you get caught by these things, then they will mess you up, and it's nerve-wracking to deal with them. On top of the whole, zombie kid thing. They're just all around unpleasant to deal with. Even performing a takedown on them is really unnerving. Instead of just killing it, your guy gets to get them to calm down before apparently snapping their neck. It's just messed up and creepy. This isn't the only mission with these things, but it's the one people are most likely to experience being a main mission. The whole place was already creepy enough, but throwing in screamers just took things to the next level. For some people, this is the creepiest mission in the game. It's that bad. Next, over at number 6, going from the urban sprawl of Dying Light to the decaying countryside of the following expansion, this side quest is one of those things that sounds about as simple as it gets when you get it, but of course, the whole thing leads to an absolute nightmare. Your goal here is to find out what happened to the herb supplier. Simple enough. So you go on out to his hut up in the mountains. The place looks abandoned, but otherwise okay. But if you head around the back and look inside, that's where things start to get creepy and nasty. There's a big hole in the middle of the room, which is never a good thing. Anytime a game forces you to go down a hole, you just know that nothing good is gonna be down there. If and when you finally take the plunge down there, then you'll find yourself in a short tunnel that leads to a blood-soaked cave. This place is just disgusting. There's gore-filled pools, thousands of buzzing flies, and a sickly orange glow to everything. This is where you find the guy you were sent to find. He's a volatile and one of the nastiest creatures in Dying Light. Once you put him out of his misery, you've cleared the nest. Little locations like this have the possibility of leaving a big impression on players. The way that developers put a creepy twist on seemingly a mundane task, this one really stuck in players' minds, and it's considered a really scary mission. Next, over at number 5, some of the most nerve-wracking sequences in Dying Light are totally optional, like the quarantine zones. There are a couple of these unique locations dotted around the map that are areas that contain a ton of useful supplies, but are swarming with the undead and generally really dangerous. If you want a chance of surviving these places, you're gonna need to be stocked up on weapons and ammo because they can be pretty unforgiving when they wanna be. One of the absolute creepiest quarantines in this game is found in Old Town at this huge apartment building. You know it's not gonna be a good thing going in here. The entire building is tented off, cluing you in that this place is going to be filled with infected and dark as hell. And yeah, it is. To make matters worse, this place has virals, aka the runner zombies, and at least one screamer as well. It's got a lot of enemies, but just exploring this place is scary. The layout is really confusing and disorienting, and because it's so dense, you'll pretty much be hearing every enemy in the place at all times, and because of that, enemies can easily sneak up on you at times and attack when you don't realize it, giving you a good jump scare. But what makes this place really memorable is the piano music that plays throughout. A radio all the way up on the 3rd floor is playing Chopin's Nocturne No. 20, a haunting piece that really only adds another layer of dread to the whole atmosphere of this place. Classical music always works. Besides the music, there's not really a lot of gimmicks here or twists on the formula. The place is just oppressive, difficult, and a creepy location. Next, over at number 4, there's a random house in the following DLC that has a lot going on. Most players probably pass by this place without a second glance, but there's a spooky secret to be found in here if you manage to not get distracted by the other Easter egg found in the same room. Going inside, the place looks stripped clean, and there doesn't seem to be much of anything to find, but if you open this door under the staircase, then you'll find a Harry Potter Easter egg. Yeah, you know, there's even a wizard hat and some little glasses. Cool, scary. But the actual real scary part happens if you look at this little shelf and see a skull thing that you can interact with. Touch it a few times, and then something weird starts to happen. The ground starts to shake, the doors to the house suddenly lock, and a weird ghost guy just falls out of the ceiling and attacks you. Now, the ghost isn't the scariest on his own, but if you're in full, late night gaming paranoia mode, then this bizarre event can probably spook the hell out of you and catch you by surprise. The funny thing is, even though it's a ghost, you can totally just kill it like any other enemy, and that includes just kicking it over and over again. It's actually kind of a sad way for a ghost to go out, but hey. At this point, there's no way out through the ground floor, so you'll have to head upstairs where the window's shut, and you'll have to fight off another aggro ghost. Now, after dealing with him, you're free to escape through a tunnel to the roof, but there's one creepy and kind of sad thing left to be found. If you open up this boarded up door, you can look inside the bathroom and see the corpse of a woman who presumably killed herself in the bathtub. Death is a common sight in the world of Dying Light, but the way this whole scene is framed makes it really spooky and more chilling, especially after dealing with the ghost situation. Maybe not the scariest location in the game, but definitely one of the more unnerving ones. Down to number 3, of all the quarantine zones in Dying Light, this is the one that isn't just naturally creepy. This place goes out of its way to actually scare you. Added to the game with the Cuisine and Cargo expansion, this place is found, like a lot of other really creepy environments in the game, in the second area of the game, Old Town. While it's not the most difficult, being more linear and less confusing and crowded compared to the other quarantine zones in the game, this one has the unique distinction of being just really spooky. And if you hate jump scares, you're really not gonna like this place. Right from the get-go, this place isn't going to be good. You know, you enter through the basement where you can find a guy who hung himself. Going into the main restaurant, the place looks empty before suddenly a zombie crashes into the nearby piano and sets off every other zombie in the place. What makes this place unique is how it uses seemingly dead zombies to surprise you. All these corpses on the ground will only spring to life after the zombie falls on the piano. You can't attack them before that. If you're playing with headphones, it gets you real good. Going up the stairs leads to a pair of zombies that spring to life and try to grab you. Go into the bathroom and try to open up the stall doors, and a zombie will burst out and knock you flat on your ass. Further in, when you try to pick up a disaster relief package in front of some barricaded doors, a zombie will spring to life beside you, and the doors will suddenly start to shake like something's banging on the other side. Keep going, and when you manage to pry open this elevator door, a screamer will jump to life and immediately call every zombie around to get you. It never ends with this place. To make matters worse, they add this high-pitched sting every time something jump scares you, just to make this all even more unpleasant. The place isn't exactly subtle in the horror, but man, it can still get you. Down to number 2, here's something a little different. A creepy mission where the creepy thing isn't a zombie. How it all goes down is that you get a message from one of your allies who tells you that they've been hearing weird distress calls from this place called the Fan Zone, which was built as a part of the Haran Global Athletic Games. This place really stands out as being one of the few modern locations you go to in the game, and that modern office building look clashes hard with the actual contents of this mission. When you arrive at this place, all you seem to find are dead bodies, like a lot of dead bodies. This whole part of the mission just oozes dread. You know something bad is gonna happen, but you have no idea what. Find a keycard, get into the recording studio, and you'll find the source of the message. It's a laptop playing a distress call on loop. Turn it off, and then that's when you find out what's actually going on. This psychotic murderer is using a fake message to lure people into the building so that he can hunt them down for fun. Now you're forced to listen to this guy's insane ranting as you try to find a way out. Of course, the only way forward is to walk into his trap. Take the elevator and he tries to kill you right there, but you can escape through the open top of the elevator and sneak through a vent. He still shoots at you and continues to rant, but once you get through it, then you can drop down and take him on a fair fight. Actually dealing with this guy is no problem. You know, he's no tougher than all the raiders you fought throughout your adventure, but it's still really satisfying to take this guy out considering, you know, he's like a mass murderer. This is just a tense, interesting, and memorable mission. And the fact that there aren't any zombies involved just makes it all the more noteworthy. Now down to number 1, this is less of a location and more of a mission. If we had to pick any location that's maybe the scariest in all of Dying Light, we'd have to say like, haha, trick question, it's everywhere. For the vast majority of players, there's nothing scarier in this game than Haran at night. It doesn't matter like where you are, being out at night, especially your first night, is incredibly nerve-wracking and stressful. It's dark as hell, like it's literally almost pitch black in spots, and you're constantly being hunted by the nightmarish volatiles, who are incredibly fast and powerful. For the early game, you can pretty much just entirely avoid messing around at night if you want. It's not until the mission Airdrop where you're absolutely forced to do something at night, and then you realize how much the nighttime can get your heart pounding. The mission tasks you with collecting an airdrop with vital supplies for the people of the tower, which of course is scheduled to land in the evening conveniently. The whole mission is a race against time where you slowly realize with dread that you're stuck out here until night. You go after one airdrop, but raiders manage to get it first. When you get to the second one, darkness has fallen. That's when the game hits you with probably its scariest moment. You're peeking through this fence when a volatile appears from nowhere and screams at you. Now you've got to run, and fast, if you want to have any chance of even surviving. Trying to escape with anything at night is really a terrifying experience. With the light on, everything can see you, but with it turned off, you can barely see 5 feet in front of you. At least the game gives you a little radar to tell you if any volatiles are nearby, but it really only adds to the tension in like kind of an alien way. Getting through this mission alive forces you to sneak around the city in pitch black conditions while nearly unkillable monsters are slowly zeroing in on your location. They always seem to know where your general location is, even if they can't see you. Now, getting back to the tower isn't easy, but damn, does it feel good to do so. The adrenaline rush is insane. The day-night cycle of Dying Light is one of the most interesting mechanics of the game. It adds a level of tension to everything you do, and there's a certain risk-reward element to scrounging for bonus supplies at night. But still, there are some people out there who simply refuse to go out at night in Dying Light, and we can't blame them. It's really freaky. But those are 7 scary, freaky locations in Dying Light we wanted to talk about. We just really wanted to take a trip down memory lane and talk about the original Dying Light, because we love it. But here's hoping things can really still be scary in Dying Light 2. We don't know, but we're looking forward to it. If you had fun with this video and you got anything else you want to point out, some big moments, or just a story you want to tell about your adventures in Dying Light, let us know. If you enjoyed this video, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. That's all you got to do. We really appreciate it. And if you're new, consider subscribing, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.